Hello, welcome to the European Open Briefing for Monday, November the 20th. I'm Rafi Boyajian, currency analyst at XM.com, and we're going to be having a look at what's happening in the currency markets today. The euro has come under pressure this morning following the collapse of the coalition talks over the weekend between Angela Merkel's party and two other parties in Germany following the September elections where Merkel failed to secure a majority. The dollar is mixed as it's down against the yen but up against the euro. There's ongoing concerns about whether or not the tax plans will get approved by the Senate, plus a broader risk of sentiment this morning. That risk off has helped on Friday gold prices to come close to breaking about 1,300 level. They're slightly down this morning, but remain supported by that slight risk aversion we're seeing at the start of trading on Monday. The pound is firmer though, as talks that Theresa May is preparing to up her offer to the EU regarding the Brexit bill that is providing some positive sentiment for sterling. But let's begin with the euro. We can see the euro is sharply down against both the dollar and the yen. It did fall to a near 1 month's low of 1.1720 against the dollar and the 2 months low 131.15 versus the yen. But we can see though that at the start of European trading, the euro has started to recover, recouping some of its earlier losses during Asian trading. So now that the coalition talks have failed, with the FDP party pulling out, citing differences over migration and climate change policies. Merkel may now decide to form a minority government unless the president of Germany decides that fresh elections should be called. So that may result in several weeks of uncertainty till we see what the outcome will be. But in the meantime, we are seeing underlying support for the euro, given the fact that the Eurozone economy is recovering strongly. On Friday, ECB President Mario Draghi said that he expects Eurozone wages to pick up. That did provide a bit of a boost to the euro, which when it rose about $1.18. We're going to hear more from Draghi this week. He will be speaking at a hearing before the European Parliament later today, where he's likely to make some more comments on monetary policy. Moving on to the dollar now, we can see that the dollar index is up mainly due on the back of the weakness in the euro this morning, but it's struggling against the yen. The dollar did fall to 1 month low 111.87 before recovering just above the 112 handle. We have that ongoing uncertainty about what the Senate's going to do regarding the tax plan. They're going to continue debating that this week. We might see a vote on the Senate's version of the tax plan next week after Thanksgiving. In the meantime, the dollar is likely to remain subdued unless we see clear indications that more and more senators are starting to back the plan. Also worrying investors is the fact that we are seeing narrowing spread between the 2 and 10-year treasury yields. That's usually a sign that a recession may be coming over the coming months. Overall, though, it's going to be a very quiet week for the US given the Thanksgiving holiday on Thursday. The main highlight will likely be the FOMC minutes of the October 31st November 1st FOMC meeting, which will likely indicate that a December rate hike is on the cards. Let's see what's happening with gold. We can see gold prices have been steadily rising throughout November. They spiked to a 1 month high of $1,297 an ounce on Friday. They are slightly down this morning, but they do appear to be supported by 1,290. The uncertainty in Germany and also what's happening with the tax plan in the US, that's helping the risk of sentiment. We did see some risk off early in Asia this morning as well after Chinese authorities announced tighter controls on asset management products. We saw Chinese shares tumbling sharply, but we did see then a quick recovery with Chinese shares actually ending the day higher. Other Asian stock markets were mixed, with some markets closing higher. We are seeing some weakness in European markets this morning, but overall the risk-off sentiment isn't that strong. It could easily reverse throughout the course of the day. Let's see what's happening with the pound. We can see the pound has been hovering around 1.32 level against the dollar. It's back up that level again this morning. There does seem to be some resistance around the 1,032.50 area. The pound at the moment is being lifted by speculation that Theresa May will raise her Brexit bill offer to the EU by around 20 billion euros. The UK has so far only pledged to pay 20 billion euros. The EU is reportedly seeking 60 billion. That offer may be raised to above 40 billion. It's being reported that Theresa May is seeking the support of her cabinet to go ahead with that. So that could lead to a breakthrough in the Brexit talks, and that would be a positive for sterling in the short term, at least. And that is very crucial just ahead of that summit, EU summit in mid-December, because unless the UK makes a better offer on the Brexit bill, the talks may not progress to trade and transition deal, and that would increase the uncertainty for UK businesses, and that would be very negative for the pound. Before we go, quick look at other currencies. We can see the Aussie and the Kiwi, they're struggling at multi-month lows. The Aussie hit a 5-month low on Friday. The Kiwi hit a more than 1-year low of 0.6779 against the greenback. The narrowing yield spreads between the US and respective Aussie and New Zealand spreads is hurting those two currencies. We've also had recent weak data, not growth but weak inflation numbers and wage growth data out of Australia, which have pushed back expectations of a RBA rate hike from late 2018 into 2019. And regarding the Kiwi, there are fears that the reforms to the Reserve Bank of New Zealand by the new government may result in looser monetary policy in the longer run, despite the fact that the RBNZ at its recent monetary policy meeting was a bit more hawkish than expected. That didn't seem to provide much support to the Kiwi. The loonie is also struggling. We can see USD CAD rose to 2-week high on Friday. That's a 2-week low for the loonie. The NAFTA renegotiation, those talks have appeared to have reached a stalemate. That's weighing on the loonie as well as the Mexican peso. Plus, we did see a bit of a pullback in oil prices last week. We can see US crude, though, has recovered. Did start to recover later on Friday and is near those highs this morning, around $56.60 an ounce. A shutdown at a US oil pipeline that boosted prices on Friday, as well as expectations that OPEC and non-OPEC will agree to extend their output deal when they meet at the end of this month. So overall, despite that bit of sell-off we saw for oil prices, they remain well supported. And finally, looking at today's economic calendar, we had Japanese export numbers, which came in below expectations in October, but they were still a solid 14% year-on-year growth. We did see German producer prices coming in line with expectations. We're not seeing to see any more major data later, either in the European or the US sessions. So the highlight for the rest of the day will be Mario Draghi's testimony before the European Parliament at 14 hours GMT. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.